Okay, hello everyone, welcome to the first Hezro Forge stream. I hope everything goes smoothly and there's a lot for everyone to learn, and yeah, let's see. It is the first stream, so I'm open to any feedback anyone has about, like, do you like the background music? Is my voice loud enough? Is where I'm painting this view area where you can see these paints now, is that clear enough? Anything like that. Open to any feedback. And then, yeah, let me know in the chat if you're painting along, what are you painting? If it's your first time here, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing live streams quite often. Don't think I'm going to make a lot of videos, but I will be streaming quite often. Okay, so yeah, also type in the chat, say hi to everyone. Yeah, where are you from? Stuff like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna paint. I'm gonna show my guys, show you guys what's up. Hello there, Margriet. Welcome, Floating Zero, Simon, everyone. Okay, awesome, Simon. Paint along, bud. As soon as dinner arrives, I finish that. Huh. Okay, cool. So today what I'm going to paint is this wing, this Kairos wing. So I have painted a lot of feathery wings. I've painted like 4 Magnuses. This is my 3rd Lord of Change Kairos model. So I've had a lot of practice in trying to get the blends nice, and also doing it as quickly as possible. Obviously, because time is important. We don't have time to sit around, paint forever, unless you do have a lot of time, then go for it. Personally, as a commission painter, I try and reach a certain standard within a reasonable amount of time. So yeah, I'm going to show how we get these transitions from the blue all the way down to this fleshy tone, this whitish fleshy tone, and then also like how we get these highlights and everything. Simon Barnes, RSA, New Zealand, China. Nice. Martin, sound is decent and visual seems fine, clear enough to see what's going on. Awesome, thank you Martin. Okay everyone, so first of all, I'll like say hello as you enter and come in. I'm gonna start with the paints. So these are all the paints I use to paint that wing. You could use less paints if you wanted to. You can just mix them. I like using these because I want to go kind of fast, and when you're going fast it's easier to just pick up the colors from your wet palette, since you've already squeezed them out. If you want to go mix in between, maybe you mix something. Let me put on my wet palette there. I say I haven't put on that camera. So there's the view of my wet palette. So what you want to do is you want to put, I'm going to put all these colors on my wet palette, and then as I'm going I can just pick them up, and if I want to mix something I'll just mix something on the fly. The problem also, these are 2 pretty big wings, so if you pre-mix the colors and you'll mix and the color you mixed runs out and you have to mix it again, you might run into problems trying to get exactly the same color. So I'd rather use more colors straight from the pot and know exactly what I'm getting than trying to mix my own colors. Okay, then, so I'm gonna start by putting the colors on. Where's my little tool? There it is. I use this little thing I got online many years ago. So I'm gonna start, and I'm kind of gonna put my colors in the order that I want to take them. I'm running out of this blue. Anyway, so let's start with that blue up here. I think I might need a little bit more. Okay, so this is Cantal Blue from Citadel. Then I'm gonna go with the next, I'm gonna take this away now. I'm gonna go with the next blue will be Calgar Blue. So Calgar Blue, these 2, Calgar Blue and Lawthorn Blue, these are just going to be highlights on the blue, so I don't need to put on a lot of this. Give it a shake. Always shake your paint. That's super important. Geez, Citadel paints don't really need that much shaking, but still give it a shake. There's that one. And then Lawthorn Blue. I'm very happy with what I achieved. More time into stuff. Again, extra grey hairs in the time between starting and finishing. Yeah, it's like it's like I have to stop myself so often from zoning out in one mini. That happens to me quite often. Like I start painting for my army, start painting a possessed, and while I'm painting I just get so the first one I painted. I'm trying to figure out a speed painting, what can I say, recipe. And I just got completely lost on that massive claw arm thing and painted, and then hours later I'm still busy with the claw. I'm like, okay, well, now I've put so much effort into this mini, I might as well put it into the rest of the model. And then, but then at the end you've got this really cool model, and then you just figure out where you can cut steps for the rest of your army. So this is Nagroth Night. This is one of my favorite colors. I use it in so many projects as a shadow color, really. It's fantastic. See what that makes. Yeah, Simon. Citadel putts aren't the best. They are annoying to work with, but you get into a rhythm eventually. This is a purple, so this is Scale Color Artist smooth acrylics. So these are acrylics, they're mostly matte, and they're heavy bodied acrylics. So they need a little bit of mixing, but their coverage is really good. And the perfect, beautiful thing talking about Citadel pots, this doesn't need shaking of any kind. You just squeeze it right out, which is awesome. I would say this paint range is one of the paint ranges of all the ones I own that I use the most. Look at that, how it comes out. Wow. Oh, look how thick that is. You can see that's super thick. But it's beautiful. I love this paint. I prefer their color so much more than Vallejo, but their new speed painting range so much, which I haven't tried the Vallejo speed painting. I've got a massive collection of paint, so I'm a bit selective now with what colors I buy into. I really like the contrast paints from Citadel. They work really well. Also, this is normal scale color from scale 75. This is super matte and a little bit difficult to work with if you're new to painting, but also very good paint, especially if you want to have a matte finish. So because this is so matte, what I do is, here's a little tip. I add a bit of acrylic medium. So this is basically contrast medium. It's the same thing as contrast medium from Citadel. This is just by scale 75. So because this paint is super matte, makes it really difficult for the technique I'm about to use to paint, because it leaves a bit of it creates a strong texture. This will make more sense when I get to painting, but yeah, it causes a texture. So all I do is I add a drop of this medium, which has a satin finish. So when I add this medium to the paint, it just takes away a bit of that matte. Then I'm going to move over to this pink flesh, the scale 75 smooth acrylics. Let me see. Color so much more. I bought this spatula many years ago, like long before I was why did I buy it? I can't even remember why I bought it initially, but I wasn't doing miniature painting yet. I was building Gundams and stuff, and I think I was just about to start trying to paint Gundam models, and then I discovered Warhammer. I'll look in my online shopping history, see if I can find it, then I'll let you know. Then I'll post it in the comments of this video afterwards. That's okay. Like that. Yeah, if you're going to be mixing on a wet palette there, be careful because you might tear the paper with that. It's pretty. I've got another one, a GW one, but it's flimsy. Okay, so all the paint is on the palette. So I don't know, everyone that's here, I don't know what your knowledge is of painting and stuff. I'm gonna assume you have some knowledge, like what a wet palette is and stuff like that. So wet palette, let's talk about the wet palette and the technique I'm going to be using. The technique I'm going to be using is mostly, I'm going to be using big fat brushes like this. So it's dry brushing, but also not dry brushing. I'm going to start, it's going to be pretty wet in the beginning. I'm going to put a lot of paint on this and I'm going to base coat with this. So I'm basically going to saturate it with paint, this brush. So if you're going to do just dry brushing, then you don't want to put too much paint on here and you want to take most of the paint off and you're just going to hit the edges. So what I'm doing is a technique I learned from, there's a painter called Bohans Stupnicki, I think so. I'm probably butchering that name, but Bohans. If you search B-O-U-N, let me put it in the chat. If you search that name on Instagram or I don't think he's on YouTube, but he's got a technique which is stippling, over brushing and dry brushing. It's all of these things. It's like basically it's like 3 different things that I do with a dry brush. I base coat with a dry brush, then I stipple and blend with a dry brush, and then at the end I use a flat dry brush to catch the edges of everything. Okay, so it's basically a combination of what I've learned from Bohans and then also from the guys at Artis Opus, and then also just a bit of my own stuff that I've discovered over time. I'm talking a lot. Yeah, I got COVID last week, so I'm still recovering a bit. My voice sounds deep or raspy, my apologies. So I feel unworthy of that. No man, no, you'd go for it. Buy Scale, they're awesome. I've got almost all their paints. I haven't bought their oils yet, but someday. Ink bottles too, yeah. The droppers with ink bottles are good. Yes, mostly use AP as well. What's AP? Tube blankets. What's AP? Can't think what that is. Yeah, Artis Opus is good. The brushes are. I wouldn't want to use their brushes for what I'm about to do. Because their brushes are really expensive and you don't really want to saturate their brushes. They're not made for that. They're expensive and you want them to last a long time. These brushes I use are this is an Army Painter one. It wasn't cheap, but I can't find them anymore. The brushes I use mainly are these Nightwork ones, and they're like 100 RMB for like a set of 5, so they're pretty cheap, and if you keep them clean they last a really long time. I still have the first set I bought. Eventually the bristles go a bit short, but that's okay. Mesh, stippling, over brushing, dry brushing, pretty amazing the results that can be achieved. Yeah, that I've seen that Great and Clean one they painted. It is very cool. So yeah, that's basically what I'm gonna do to achieve this. I'm just going to use those fat brushes, these fat brushes. So let's get to painting. Okay, so I'm just going to share the entire process as I go. I'll repeat it. Excuse me, I need to cough. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, that Great Unclean one they painted Martin is awesome. I rely on a quicker version of what you're doing here to get my models table ready. Google Town did a video on it just a few days ago. Variants, that is really good. Cool, I'll check it out. I haven't watched Google Town in a while. Okay, but yeah, let's go. So, since I'm gonna basically do normal brushing, not wet, like with wet paint, I want to get these bristles moist. So I just dip that in my wet palette, put some on this glove, and then get that brush nice and moist. It's important, I'm not dry brushing at the moment, so I don't want it to look like dry brushing on the model. I want to, you can see I've really put a lot of paint on there, and then I just paint. So I'm pushing hard, I'm getting into all the details, into all the crevices, not leaving anything black. This is going to be a different color later, a light blue, so I'm not going to paint that right now. And then let's turn around, pick up some more paint. So yeah, pushing hard, getting in there. Don't be nervous or anything, just go nuts. Important thing here is if you're going to use this technique, prime your model and leave your model overnight so the primer sets, because you're going pretty hard at the model, the miniature, and if the primer hasn't set properly, you might scratch it off. So be sure to let your primer set at least 12 hours. Okay, I just quickly did a sound check there. Seems everything's fine. Okay, 2 coats of blue and we're done. Now I'm just going to go straight from the blue into the purple, but I want to get some of this paint off, so I'm just going to put water in my palm again. Clean that off in there. I don't mind about some of it still being there, because it will help the transition from the blue into the purple, which is coming next, Nagrath Night. Okay, so let's move over to the Nagrath Night. Also, again, getting into those recesses. Here I'm a little bit more careful because there are some feathers that I want to keep completely blue. There's that row. If you compare the two, I want to keep that row blue. This is like really satisfying. You've got such a massive wing, and if you had to now paint all of this with the number 2 brush, nah, ain't nobody got time for that. So, good, nuts. There's the first coat on this side. Let's flip it around. Cover it nicely with purple. This Nagrothanite. Again, like I said earlier, this is such an awesome color. I love this color. It's in all my armies that I have Nagrothanite somewhere on it, I'm pretty sure. It's a perfect color for shadows. And for interesting shadows is what I mean. It's like not just a black or a dark brown or something like that. You got some nice color in your shadows. Okay, I need a little bit more Nagrothanite. That was only 1 coat. With this spatula. And then we might need a little bit more later, so keep that there. Okay. Yeah, interesting way to wet your brush, I must say. It's I don't want to soak the brush. I just want to have a bit of moisture on it. So if I put the water in the palm of my hand, I have control about how much I pick up, and that's quite important, especially later on. So with dry brushing, I almost never just have a dry brush and then put paint on and go. Always have a little bit of moisture on, just to help the paint get off the brush, and then also like it helps with that chalky buildup that you might get because the paint is not so dry. And also, like I've seen sometimes if you dry brush with a lighter color like a white or an off-white, it might get so dry that it becomes powdery, and you can see like how it's almost like dust that comes off your brush and then goes and settles in different places on your model, on your miniature, and that's not really what you want. If you keep it just moist, a little bit wet, it doesn't do that. And also it doesn't get so chalky. Okay, cool. Let's let that dry for a minute before I start using the next colors. Let's look at the chat. Oh yeah, Simon. I've watched some of these of use the scuba time. It's awesome. Nice to see someone that has a PhD in chemistry to explain all this stuff to us. How much Simon money in there? Make a YouTube channel instead. Yeah. Well, I think his YouTube channel does okay, and he's got a bunch of other stuff like sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I know what you mean. I myself spent a lot of time studying, and then I'm definitely not doing what I studied. Would you usually work on both wings simultaneously or complete one before starting the other? Okay, so if it's the first time I'm doing a specific color scheme, I would do one side of one wing as a test. To make sure which colors in what order I should go and all this kind of stuff. If I know what I'm doing, I would just paint all 4 at the same time. Since I've got all the colors on my color palette already, on my wet palette already, I'll just go to town and do all of them at the same time. But this was like the test one, and then I painted this one afterwards. And now today I've been saving this one. The model I'm working on, I've come quite far already. This is like the staff in the book, with a bit of green magic here and here, and then I've finished the heads as well. The Kairos heads, they're done. I'm very happy with this gold. It's a new gold recipe I tried. It came out pretty. I like this way it came out. Yeah, come on, focus. Focus! There we go. I like that gold. Yeah, you can see like this gold on the staff as well. I'm very happy with how this came out. Look at the color variation there, from the very dark to the silver. Very, very happy with how this turned out. Anyway, and then the body. So yeah, I'll probably finish this guy tomorrow. But let's see how it goes. Okay, this is dry enough. I'll check a few, look at the chat a bit. The model here. Also, I'd be scared to invest in oils and use them too, so what do I know? I've tried oils. I don't think, like, if you were going to use an oil wash, like if you're just starting out with oils, you could use an oil wash. If you're new to oils and you try and blend them and stuff, like I've tried that, and it's just I haven't had the time to invest into that technique to learn how to do it. So I like this technique. I like the variation in color I can get here. Like, for example, if you look closely there, look at the blues. You can see the blues on the inside, the blues and the purples, and then how it comes out. So this is not possible with an airbrush. You're not going to get this fine detail with an airbrush, for example. Oils, I don't know how to do it with oils. I haven't learned properly. But like with this dry brushing technique, I love this kind of result you can get. And on the topic, like you won't get such detailed results if you only used an airbrush. That's not going to happen. Airbrush, and you're going to see it's airbrushed. Anyway, so let's move over. I'll switch a brush. A sec. Okay. Then okay, good. Hope it works too, like. And then Simon, especially when it comes to dry brushing. Alright, let's do this. Hello, Leroy Jenkins. Dry brushing can be deceivingly difficult to get decent results. Too dry of a brush and your paint gets chalky. Too damp and it leaves streaks. Exactly. So that's what I want to, that's basically what I want to show in this video, is how to go about not getting chalkiness and how to not get Feel the yeah, I've used oil washes, but I made my own oil washes, but I haven't tried painting an entire model with oils. I'm happy with acrylics. Variation looks really good on the book too. Subtle but definitely noticeable. Yeah, cheers, thank you. Yeah, still got a bit of COVID. Still recovering a bit. Definitely try an oil wash. Really works. I used oils on this model. All the weathering and the panel lining and all of that is oils, and then also just like picked out with acrylics, like the edges of the, and this is magnetized. But yeah, this is all I use a lot of oils on this for the weathering. Yeah, oils are great. Okay boys, stop distracting the man. Okay. Let's paint. So I'm moving to a smaller brush because now I want to start building up the purple from here, but I don't want to cover the blues. So I'm gonna use a smaller brush because I want to be more precise. So let's get some water. So this is, get some moisten up that tip, but I don't want to get it too wet. Okay, good way I test is on my lip. Yep, just to feel if it's moist enough. So let's grab this purple. So again, I'm picking it up like I'm going to paint with it. Okay, there's a lot of paint on here. I'm not going to dry brush now. I'm going to overbrush. So I'm coating. I'm putting a layer of paint on, but I'm dragging in one direction. I'm dragging this way. And what's happening is I'm not going into the deepest recesses that are right next to the center of the, what's that called, a quill? Maybe. Right over the center of the feather. So I'm mostly just putting paint over the raised feathery areas. And I'm pushing softly in one direction. I keep saying one direction. Anyway, so yeah. See, so I'm not pushing in, I'm not going into the crevices. I'm starting at the top and I'm pulling it down because I'm not going to use a wash. I don't want to go, you don't want to use washes when you use this technique because you are building up a little bit of texture because you're using this technique. And if you put a wash on, it's going to create this grainy effect because you've built up a texture. And so washes don't work. So you want to keep the recesses as dark as possible, and that's why I went for Nagraph Night. Okay, so very important. Then let's put a little bit more. So this is now a purple. This is that purple from scale 75. It's weird, the purples and the magentas in this range have a very different consistency. I guess it's the type of pigments they use. Okay, cool, cool, cool. That is working. Let's flip it around. Just don't. The more you do this, you'll get used to not grabbing where you're busy with on the other side. I'm painting both sides. As I said earlier, just because I have the paint on the palette, I don't want to. See, so this side I did slow to demonstrate. This is more like the pace I would go if I was just painting by myself. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got that purple. Doesn't really show up very nice, but it's there. It is there. Let's clean the brush a little bit. Yeah, last week I did a test stream, and it's very weird for me to. It's like I'm sitting here talking to myself. I don't have any music on, it's nothing. I can't hear myself. Anyway, so it's cool. I guess I'll get used to it eventually. really enjoying this though, and really happy that I can be sharing stuff. This is something I've wanted to do for a really long time and never got around to it, so very happy I can finally do it. Oh, it looks nice. Still got covered oil wash. Okay, Simon, so do I dry brush just because of the texture on the wing? Do I ever highlight manually? So if you really wanted to push this wing, at the end, edge highlight manually, just normally, as you said there, manually, just with a normal brush. You could edge highlight, but as you can see, if you do it like this, you don't really need to. I'd say if you wanted to like brush more on this, you could maybe brush little lines so that it looks more like feathers, but that's extremely time consuming, you know, because there's a ton of feathers here. And then if you do it on the wings, you'd probably have to do it on the rest of the body as well. So get to a point where you're happy and move on. We want to eventually get our models on the table and play with them. But if you're painting for a competition or something, yeah, go for it. Then definitely highlight manually. What else? Like the panel liner stuff from Mr. Yeah, I've tried the panel liner. I don't like it very much. Maybe it's like it's on Gundam, it's awesome. All little Star Wars, Bandai Star Wars kits. It's great for me, but never really liked it on miniatures. I like an oil wash because you can just go and then wipe it off. You just dip it in the crevice and it runs, and you just wipe it off. Where with the Tamiya panel liner thing, I find like it's really difficult to get that off. Lee Robinson, 6 setup, yeah, thank you, Lee. Brushing technique, but that paint would end up. I'm not sure. So, thanks, man. What kind of brush are those? I haven't tried something so stubby like that. These are dry brushes. They're Nightworks. They're made here by a local guy. I will. There's a shop on Taobao that sells these. They're much cheaper than Artis Opus, and they get the job done. Okay, so let's move over to okay. So now I'm missing a color. It's just like, what? I'm not jumping from purple to fuchsia, whatever that color is. I still need a bit of Screamer Pink. Let's get the Screamer Pink on there. This is also an awesome color. Screamer Pink. Okay. So yeah, this is a dry brush. If you compare it to an Artis Opus one, I've actually got an Artis Opus one. This is Artis Opus. You can see it's very similar. This one's just a bit worn, but yeah, like, I don't want to soak this brush in paint like I do with these cheaper ones, so I don't really use these often. I'm scared of messing them up. And that sucks because you're supposed to use them, but because they're so difficult to find here, I'm just not using them much. I'd rather use these. Anywho, so I'm gonna move over to a bigger brush. Let me look at that. Yeah. Where colors. Okay. Okay, so now this is now the tricky part, because getting this color transition from there to the tip is rather difficult. So you want to go a little bit quicker, just so that they blend nicely. So I'm going to start here with this. Not too bothered now about hitting the tips of that top row of that row there. Okay. And then I'm going to go over to this pink. I'll mix that in there. Is it focused there? Yeah. And then, so this is just a very rough sketch, as some might call it, of where I want the colors to be. Okay, you can see that blue still showing through, not blue, purple. Reads a bit like blue now under the pink, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can get cheap brushes from Minish, so, but I prefer getting these that are sold by, like, the difference between this and a cheap makeup brush at Miniso is like these bristles are way firmer, much firmer, and you have a lot more control. You don't lose as many, the hairs don't just fall out while you're painting. I just prefer these to Miniso. I've bought a lot of Miniso brushes back in the day, and then I bought one, that Army Painter brush was actually one of my first dry brushes. That was a branded miniature painting dry brush or modeling dry brush, and it's just so much better. It's really so much better than a Miniso brush. So I can really recommend just spend the 100 kwai, get a decent brush. These last a really long time. Okay. I need to clean this brush while I'm doing that. This is also something that's made by Nightworks. Can really recommend this as well, to clean your dry brushes. You get this white one, they say this one is to mix colors in. I've never actually used it like that. And then you've got the black one, they say this is to clean it in, but I just use them to clean them. Yeah, I can recommend that if you're going to use this technique to keep your brushes clean. And must keep the brushes clean. You don't want paint to be drying on your brushes, because then they won't last very long. Oopsie. Okay. Then while you're painting, while you're still using a brush, you can just do this technique. Keep some of the paint on there. You're basically just reactivating the paint that's on there, and then it helps with blending. Okay, now that it's dried a bit, you guys can see it's taking shape. Okay, so now I'm going to move over to this pink flesh. Okay, so I'm using my other wing that I've done already for reference to see where the colors change. So I'm pushing soft there where I begin and then harder towards the tip. That's soft initial. And now, okay, I should have done that slower. So look, it's almost like streakiness there, but then if you want to blend it, just stipple. If you start stippling there, then you blend in that transition. And then a bit of overbrushing. Cool. Then it's not that harsh. Let's get some more of that. So I'm just gonna keep doing this. I'm picking up lighter and lighter colors. So I'm not pushing super hard now. I'm just overbrushing. Okay, let's go the other side. Mix in a bit of that. Okay, let's do this again. So there, softly. Look at that harsh transition there. So I'll show you how we fix that now. Okay. Okay, so now most of the paint is off. Stipple. Stipple and overbrush. Stipple a bit, overbrush. Stipple a bit, overbrush. And then overbrush. Okay. Now this is a good time to come back to that, what we said earlier. If I had no moisture on here and I was doing this, I would be building up a crazy amount of paint here and chalkiness. But it's not happening at all. There's no chalkiness, it's just blending because the paint has moisture in it to leave the brush and go and blend in with the paint that's already there. Okay, awesome. Now we need to go lighter. I'm concentrating a bit, so oh, my poor cheap. Yeah, like honestly, like can really recommend spending. So it's like 100 koi or something for a set of 5, and you're going to use all of them. And then they've got 2 sets. They've got a black set that's got shorter bristles, and they've got a white set that's got longer bristles. Okay. Went a bit hard there. Let's fix it. Let's fix it. Okay. Okay. Pick up a bit more. Take up some off. Okay. Sorry if I get quiet, it's because I'm concentrating. It's quite difficult moving from when you start getting to the brighter colors, because then mistakes can happen. So you need to be a bit more careful. Just noticed I'm painting without my glasses on. There we go. Okay, so that looks pretty. Yeah, okay, cool. That pink flesh tone, I'll work in that. We'll get that in a bit more later in the pink when we do the dry brushing. The normal dry brushing. Okay, cool. So let's go brighter. To get some of this color off, I need to go to that light flesh tone now. So I want most of this pinkish color off. Okay, so now I'm grabbing not from this side but from this side because I just want this, taking a lot of it off. Okay. Okay. Can go up a little bit higher there. All right. Okay. Then the other side. Take a lot of it off. Okay. Because I'm taking more of it off now, you can see I'm going a little bit harder. Let's get a bit more. Need those tips to be brighter. So, sorry if I'm not looking at the chat right now, guys. Just need to focus on getting these brighter colors just right. As I said earlier, it's a bit of a takes a bit more concentration than just putting the base coats on. Oh, like there I went way too far. Wet brush. Wet brush. Just wipe some of that off. Okay, that's fine. Speed of a puma. Who gets that reference? Giving away my age. Okay, cool, let's go. Okay. Okay, we're getting close now. I'm going to give the paint a bit of time to settle. Just dry nicely. If you go too fast and you don't give the paint enough time to dry, you might start, because we're working with these hard brushes, you might start pulling the paint off the layers underneath. So be careful. Take a few minutes break every once in a while. clean your brushes, read the chats. Where did I? In Tusk, I bought a 5 quai brush for simple brush coating, base coating, not serious work like that. Yeah, definitely, Martin. Like I've got a bunch of very cheap brushes, and also like if you're starting out, just get the Miniso ones if it's your first time and you don't want to spend a lot of money and you're not sure if you really like this technique, because it's not for everyone. But if you wanted to try, get some cheap Miniso ones and then go from there. But these are fantastic, I love them. Okay, what else is there? Let me read the chat for a bit. Let's go. Yeah, they won't last long. Simon, yeah, I got some nicer sets coming in, but Quiddy is a bit slow at the moment. Yeah, it's difficult to get anything right now, unfortunately. There's a lot because no fear of them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mr. Chi or Mr. Che. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Yeah, like stippling and then overbrushing. That is really that's how I blend colors on big models. It's just the way to go. Get much nicer texture, much nicer results than you would with an airbrush, and much faster than you would with a normal brush. Leroy Jenkins, thinking about picking up a couple of expensive ones, but I'm afraid I'm just going to ruin the brushes. No, like if you look what I just did. I just completely soaked this brush, right, in all this paint, and I painted this whole wing with this. And afterwards I just dip it. Here's my little water cup. One good accessory that Citadel makes. Dip it in there. Just a quick dip, clean it off in here. Nice little sound there. Not sure what that's gonna sound like through the microphone. And then I just wipe it off on this towel. And boom, you've still got a bit of pink on there, but really it doesn't matter. Next time you put paint on, just give it a little flick and you're good to go. Every once in a while I give it a proper clean. But yeah, this is just how I leave it. And I paint a lot. I paint a lot of big models, commissions, so I use these brushes all the time and they're still fine. I mean, the first one I bought was that Army Painter one. Where is that? This was my first ever non-Miniso style brush and still works fine. Really worth it. Use brushes on the cheap side as I can't keep them in a good shape long enough. Yeah, like some of my favorite brushes. 3x50 for a synthetic brush. I can paint a whole miniature of this, but it's not the same satisfaction you get from these bristles are super stiff. But yeah, for base coating and for washes I use these, a lot of these, and for like enamels and for oils obviously you need to use synthetic brushes. Wet brush, emergency butt. What's in that Nightworks tin? Is that just a wet sponge? Yeah, it's just a wet sponge. Not even wet. It's just a sponge inside a little tin. And then it kind of goes down. Look, there's no water in either. The water I take from here to clean the brushes on there. Same with this one. And see, there's a little bit of water at the bottom. But yeah, basically just to clean. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, it's like, and how long did that take? What, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes? And we're not done yet. We need to go a little bit brighter. I just want the paint to dry a bit. Is the Nightworks like the Masters soap thingy? The sponge. No, there's just a sponge inside. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but yeah, this is just a sponge. The Masters soap is actual brush soap. I can't get it out now. My laptop's in the way of that drawer, but yeah. Cool. So let's go brighter. I want to take a smaller brush now again. Okay, so this is where it gets temperamental. An off-white. This is the difficult paint to work with. So this brush, I didn't moisten it up again because it was still moist from the wash. Yeah, so this is just gonna be eyes on. Just gonna be the tips. And off-white, this is a vanilla white. This is where you start getting chalkiness and stuff. So you don't want to put too many layers of this on. You want to try and get it right early. And see, I'm kind of base coating, kind of painting it on. I'm not dry brushing. There's a bit more paint on my, I'm not taking everything off. And then I'm painting that on. Okay. There we go. All right, let's do the other side. So again, got quite a bit of paint on here. And I'm being a little bit more precise with my application. Okay, now I want to clean this. Get some water on there. Okay, it's a bit much, but I want to get most of it off. Tissue. Okay, onto the paper towel to dry it up a bit. Okay, now we've still got a bit of color on there. It's quite moist and we still got a bit of that white on there. Now I'm just gonna blend slightly, just, it's so subtle you probably won't see it on the camera. Yeah, we still got a bit of that white paint with a lot of water on the tip. Okay. Cool. Yep, close enough. Doesn't have to be exactly the same. It is a natural thing, a feather. So 2 different feather wings. Not sure how perfectly symmetrical they would be. Okay, So we've got a lot more of the fuchsia in there. I need to work a bit of that in there. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to this color. Take most of it off. Add some of that back in here. Okay. Okay, now I'm just over brushing. Dry brushing, over brushing. It's not completely dry, but I am taking a lot of it off. Let's work some of that in there. Bring up that saturation a bit. Right. Now I'm going to use this color. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's like fuchsia or something. Sorry, completely missed the camera there. Fuchsia. Sounds like a swear word. Anyway, oh, that's too much paint. Okay. Work some more of this in there. We'll check the chat again in a while, guys, for everyone. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. Let's clean this. I really have patience to wait that long between cuts. Yeah, like I'd probably start painting something else, or if you're doing 4 wings, or if you're doing 2 wings with 4 sides at once, then you're never gonna need to wait in between cuts. Yeah, hairdryer is awesome. Just don't know how much you guys are gonna enjoy that sound. So yeah, I actually thought about that. But luckily I'm streaming, so I've got a chat that I can read while I'm waiting for colors to dry. Otherwise makes, yeah, assembly line painting. Oh yeah, I've got tons of different stuff I use for holders. I used Lego, I use wooden blocks, and then I've got some fancier handles that I bought. I must say, like, some of these handles are really, really good. This is my favorite. If you're painting up to, I'd say, about 40 mil bases, this green stuff world one. So I've got 5 of these caps, and then let's say if I paint like 5 plague marines or something, I just go, because hold and you can swing it with this end with your thumb. It's super convenient. Then if I paint bigger stuff, I also use this one. But or if I wanted to paint a head or something like that separately. And this is also magnetized, so I've got a few of these, and then you use that. Yeah, basically anything, just have something to hold on to while you're painting. Cool. So let's start with the flat dry brush. I have tried a lot of different brands, flat dry brushes. I've even bought Winsor & Newton flat dry brushes because I just wanted to try them and see if they work at all. Let me see. Oh no, these are cheap ones. I guess I've chucked it already. Anyway, these Citadel brushes came out, I don't know how many months ago now. And I saw the price and I was like, how can they ask that much money for a paintbrush? It's ridiculous. A synthetic paintbrush. This is like 40 kwai or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous. And then eventually I was just like, I am going to try it. And they're fantastic. They're just so good. No chalkiness. Like if you follow the moisture thing that I've spoken about earlier. So for these you want to put a lot less moisture on. You want to control that. So for these you never want these bristles to stick together, right? Then it's too wet. But you want some moisture on there. These brushes are awesome. These were the first ones. This is what they look after very, very, very heavy use. This one has come a very long way. This is now my second set that I'm busy with here. So they're more expensive than the big fat ones, but they're just so good. Seriously. And you've got the sizes. Where's the smallest one? This is the smallest one. Like if you wanted to, come on, focus. If you wanted to dry brush like details on smaller infantry, like 32mm infantry, like Space Marine gun or something like that, this is perfect. Perfect. Anyway, just to speed up things. Yeah, Lego is awesome. I love Lego. Yeah, like I have a ridiculous amount of Lego. So I just had bricks that I was never going to use for anything else, so then I was in a rush, so I quickly built a few. I've paid some fancy ones, but honestly the plain wooden ones are the most comfortable for me. Yeah man, whatever works for you. Like really, don't need to go spend a lot of money on a paint holder. Personally I like trying stuff. So I've got way too much stuff that I just want to try. Oh yeah, I use a lot of pill bottles. I don't really want to show medication on YouTube, but yeah, like empty pill bottles. I fill them with water. They also work very well. Nice, Simon. Can't breathe life back into. No, this yeah, this is a synthetic brush, so there's absolutely no way that you're gonna fix this. It's just not gonna happen, but it's still useful, like for bases and stuff. This would make it really nice. Like let's say I want to do a bit of stippling on a rock, you know, on a rock on a base, take most of that off, and then you can get, if you do that over a textured rock, that's fine, you're good. Yeah, I love these brushes though. I didn't think I would. I waited very long before I bought the first set because I was just like, I can't believe they're so expensive. Anywho, let's go. We've already put some moisture on this brush. Let's put some more on. Okay guys, so okay everyone, so I'm gonna paint a bit again. Might not look at the chat for a while. So we want to go lighter. So pick up, what's this? This is Calgar blue. Calgar blue is a weird color. It's a layer paint, but it's like super thin. Doesn't cover well. So in this case now we're just going for edges. We're using a flat dry brush. We're using a flat dry brush and we're just going for edges. So you want almost no paint on there. Minimize. And go against the grain. So you might think now pull down because that's what people say. But because the tips of the feathers are facing downwards, we want to pull up to pick up those tips. And this is very subtle. And look what I'm doing. You can do this, but then let's say you were going to edge highlight, you would do this with a normal paintbrush, right? So let's say you wanted to edge highlight, so you'd edge highlight there. Okay, so edge highlighting with a flat dry brush. Now if you did this with a normal brush, it would take you hours. Boom, Calgar done. Hey, I bought one of those Marius Calgar comics. I still even haven't opened it. Got it, waited so long for it, and then the excitement kind of faded. Yeah, I should open that someday. Again, edge highlighting with a flat brush. Now let's, when I'm sure most of the paint's off, I go to town. Don't forget that little claw. If you do the claw now, it also saves time later. Okay, there the blue's starting to pop. Now let's go for Northern blue. Again, take most of it off. I use the folds of my glove to see where I'm at. Okay. Okay, so this I'm going to focus. Mostly, I'm not going to move down there. I'm just going to stay at the top. And this side I'll go everywhere because it faces outwards more. This is the inside of the wing, so this would be in shade, right? This would be in this shade, so I'm just going to highlight here. I'm not going to highlight there. This, on the other hand, would mostly, all of this should catch light. Cool. And then I went way harder here because I had already tested what the back of the Mini looks like. So the first time I painted this wing, I didn't go super bright here, but if you fit that in there now, see, it kind of fits. Still need to work on this a bit, but yeah. So let's go a little bit brighter to add a bit more of the Loth in there. Thanks for everyone that's watching. Thanks for everyone that came over. This is awesome. I'm enjoying this. I will do it often. You guys can hang out. And if something comes up and you need to leave the stream, I will be saving them on my YouTube channel, on the Ezra Forge channel, so you guys can just go back and watch them, re-watch them as many times as you want. Cool. Let's clean this brush. Okay. Quickly. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay, now this brush is very wet. So I need it to dry for a bit before I move over to the pink, purples and pinks. Take a bit of a drinks break. Yeah, that dry brush like changes everything, because now you've got all these nice transitions, but now to blend the transitions even more, we're going to do the flat brush, dry brush over, and as you can see here on this wing, like the lightest color I'm dry brushing up all the way to here, and that's blending those colors together, you see. So this is also a very important stage of getting the blending between the colors perfect. You want to you've been taking paid breaks from drinking. I'm drinking water. Anyway, how long has this been going on? How long? Oh, it's been a while. Awesome, thanks again for hanging out. I think I'm gonna, because I'm painting and then like I've got something coming up and I'm like, oh man, I want to show people how I paint this. And I don't know much about like YouTube algorithms and stuff, how like streaming versus uploading videos, there must be a different weight to it when they determine like what goes out. But again, like I'm not doing this to become famous on YouTube. I'm doing this to hang out with you guys, mostly all of you guys here, you know, where we live, our time zone. It's just fun to hang out and share techniques. I often paint stuff and then I think people maybe, like some people might think I airbrush to get these results. Some people might think it's like super difficult, but it's really not. It just takes a bit of practice. So if more people can just paint beautiful models and get them on the tables, like at tournaments and stuff, that would just be awesome. And there are really good painters out there. And if you're just a battle ready guy, awesome. That's also cool. Any paint on a miniature is better than a gray miniature. And if you're new to painting, just start. Test it out. There's a lot to learn. It's like it's a brand new skill. You need to learn a lot, but it's totally worth it. And also check out painters on YouTube. Like everything I've learned from painters on YouTube. And I've also subscribed to a few Patreons and stuff to get more detailed tutorials from some specific people that I like. What I did was I followed a bunch of painters that have very different styles and techniques that they use, and then I tried like most of them. I try all of them and see what works for me. And then sometimes I like start mixing stuff. Like what I'm doing here now, this is now the artist's opus step of this whole process. They just do it with round brushes. I prefer flat brushes. But yeah, picking out the highlights, you know, where the first half was kind of that Bohan's method. Okay, that's done. Now let's move to this pink flesh. Okay. Again, most of it off. Okay. Magic. Now I'm going to town. Look, this is the beauty of painting feathers. It's just so easy. Once you know how to go about it. See, and no chalkiness. There's no chalkiness. One, because these brushes are awesome. Two, because you always keep a little bit of moisture on there. Just a little bit. Okay. Some people also wouldn't put paint into a wet palette if they're going to be dry brushing with it, because the paint would get diluted too fast. But like this wet palette and this paper from Red Grass, the paint doesn't pick up that much moisture through this paper, so it's perfect for me. And like where I live, the paint just dries out in seconds if it's not on a wet palette, so it's just not an option for me. The humidity right now in this room where I'm painting is 18%. That is ridiculous. How's it there in the south? Probably still quite humid, yeah. I lived down south for 2 years back in the day. Ooh, almost messed that up. I'm enjoying chatting so much that I almost put this light color there. What I'm going to do is, for the rest of the stream, I'm just going to focus on this front part. Okay, I'm not going to go back to the back. Okay, so let's pick out those. So I'm also focusing here a bit on there. Okay, now sparingly pick up this vanilla, mix it into some of this that I've put on here earlier, because this is now, again, risky. If your paintbrush is too dry, chalkiness. If you've got too much paint on, streaking. And this you also want to do as few times as possible. So go light, go lighter than you think you should. And try and do it just once. To try and avoid building up that chalkiness, because every layer you put on with an off-white color, you are going to build up with some texture. It's a pretty colorful glove right there. All right. Yeah, those are sticking together, so just work them a bit. That's what happens with the off-white. Okay. Okay, let's go. Okay, I need to put a bit more blue there. I'm just going to go straight in there, pick up the blue, most of it off. Okay. Yeah. Bring up the blue highlights a bit more. There we go. So yeah, there's the process. What do you all think? Do you think easier than it looked? Like from the photos I've shared and stuff? Any surprises? Anything in the whole process that was a bit of a surprise to anyone? Let me know. Have you learned anything? I hope so. I enjoyed painting with you guys, with everyone. This is a lot of fun. I'm gonna do this often. Anyway, I got distracted. I don't know much about the YouTube algorithm, but I feel like in the future I'm just gonna, if I've got time and I'm about to paint something cool, I'm just gonna be like, okay, I'm going live, and I'll just go online and paint. If people are around, you can join and watch and paint along. If no one's around, I'll just paint for myself. And then the video is recorded and saved on YouTube anyway, so people can go back and watch whenever they want. I think that'll be cool. Instead of trying to, I'll maybe have like a set time that I do every week so that it becomes routine. But then also just like maybe, because on Saturdays I usually play Warhammer, I usually play 40k or Age of Sigmar. So if I'm not playing on some Saturday for any reason, then I'm going to be painting instead. And then I'll just go online and stream, go live, and then people can just join if they're around, hang out, paint together. I think that's how I'm going to go about it. Okay, what did I miss? Let me look. It looks so fun. Going to, wow. From here, fair enough. Rona hasn't caught me yet, so I'm enjoying my run while I can. Enjoy it, buddy. Enjoy it. I would love to. That's an amazing job. Kudos. Thanks, Filippo. It's gonna get you. Everyone's getting it. It is ridiculous. It looks really good, dude. Lines were hard to start, but super impressed how well you have managed to blend them. Cheers. Thank you, Simon. Yeah, you see, like blending, stippling, overbrushing, dry brushing, and then flat dry brush at the end, just to catch those edges, and then work in the lightest color into the color before, and that color into that one, that color into that one. So this lighter color I've worked up all the way into this purple. So that's also a secret of how to do this, so they blend in nicely. Yeah, at some point they call it, I think it's called the ass phase. At some point it just looks terrible. And then you just keep working, adding colors, and then eventually it looks awesome. The rum is probably helping to finish it off. I don't know. Got a lot in stock. IG tanks. I've always wanted to paint one of those. I'll get around to it someday. Leroy Jenkins, going to Sanya. Nice one. Yeah. Sometimes I actually put contrast paints on a wet palette, if I want to thin it down and have a little bit more control about how much I pick up with my paintbrush, then I might put it on a wet palette. But yeah, I'll do contrast paints another day. Good beginner only possible. Nicely done. Thank you. Yeah, good chat, dude. Thanks for the stream. No, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, Simon. Yeah, I'll do this more often. I enjoyed. Or I'll do this often, I should say. Can't say more often since this is the first one. Thanks, Filippo. Hours on a video and get 200 views. Yeah, then 3 hours on a video blows up into 20k. Yeah, exactly. It's like a lot of people say, like, I follow a lot of painters on YouTube, and a ton of them are like, the one video you sit down and you really work hard on and you're so passionate about it and you spend hours editing it, gets like 1,000 views, and then you paint a Space Marine and you get 100 or 50,000 views. Yeah. Anyway, Space Marines are, I don't see a lot of Space Marine content anymore, but like when I started painting, that was obviously the first miniature I ever painted was a Space Marine. Yeah, got me into the hobby. Crazy hobby we have. Buy paint for 30 kwai, remove 80% of paint when dry. Nah, not 80%. But yeah, you do take a lot of paint off. Paint lasts forever. Like, the only paint that I've run out of is Naggaroth Night. Oh, Naggaroth Night and Incubi Darkness. The rest of the stuff just lasts forever. Oh, and my metallics, my scale 75 metallics. I run out of those. Yeah. Okay. And let me listen in. Anyway, so yeah, I'll save this one for another time. How long have we been going? We've gone almost 2 hours, so yeah, I think we're gonna call it there. Again, thank you very much everyone who came. Really enjoyed hanging out with everyone. I'm gonna end it soon and finish the back of this wing. All right. Thanks everyone. Keep well. Keep healthy. Stay warm. It's gonna be cold. Don't know where you're at, but where I am, it's gonna be freezing. From today till the next few days, it's gonna be freezing. Cheers everyone. That's good to know, Martin. Just a bit of practice. Cool. Cheers everyone. I've never ended a stream before. I'm not sure how to go about it, so I'm just gonna say, woo! Until next time. Cheers guys, bye bye.